Hello and welcome to the FPL School podcast. I am one of your hosts, Matthias, and with me today I have Kevin. And Kevin just got a haircut. He is in his bedroom today because of some scheduling issues. His brother is working in the living room, so he has to resort to the bedroom. But how are you feeling, Kevin, about your haircut, about your recording situation, and about the National Day of Norway, which was yesterday? How do you feel about everything?
Okay, to start things off, haircut feels good. Recording situation feels bad. Women dressed up looking very good in Norway is always a plus. And Real Madrid going out in the Champions League is also a huge plus. So it's been pretty good. It's been a pretty good 24 hours. And it's my day off today as well. So I am not complaining.
Perfect. That's perfect for FPL recording. But yeah, like you said, women yesterday, or men as well, because some men have the traditional clothing as well. For the National Day of Norway, we have something called bunad, which is like a traditional clothing type of thing. And for me, I associate it with old ladies, but Kevin has only seen girls his age wearing it, and he's like, "Ooh, that looks good." So yeah,
Yep.
kind of a
Huge
difference between us, but
huge fan. Yeah.
yeah. So Kevin is a fan of bunads, we know. So yeah, you should be here for 17th of May sometime. But I don't know what I feel like your national day, like Svenska Flaggans dag, which is 6th of June, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that such a big thing? Because I feel like Midsummer is more like the big thing in Sweden than compared to the national day. But am I wrong? I don't know. What do you do for the?
Both are
Swedish
huge.
Day?
So,
Okay.
but Midsummer is more of the like you said, it's more of the general festivities and stuff like that, I'd say. But both are pretty big. So, in either case, I'll be having meatballs and and potatismos, which is mashed potatoes. Yeah, it's just a shame with Midsummer. I think I might be working then. But other than that, it is a huge celebration either way. But I'd say Midsummer is probably the bigger celebration per se. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. We can talk a lot about Swedish and Norwegian culture, but we're here to talk about FPL. So let's just move on straight ahead to your score this week, because you had a pretty good game week, and part of the reason for that is because you got kind of lucky with people being out. You had both Kepa not starting for Chelsea, and you had De Bruyne not starting for City, and that brought you David Raya and Rico Henry into your squad, and they both kept the clean sheet against West Ham. So pretty good score for you. And you brought in Wilson. You had enough money to do that. You brought in Konate, who got 5 points, which is decent as well. So yeah, you had a pretty good game week so far. There's still matches to go. Obviously, the one thing is the captaincy. Isak was outperformed by Wilson, but he still has one match to go as of this recording, because we're recording before the game now on Thursday. So yeah, what is your thoughts with your team and your transfers and Brentford and all that stuff? What do you feel about this game week so far?
Yeah, I can't really be unhappy with how the week went in terms of points, because 83 points is pretty good considering the fact that prior to that, I had no idea how the match against Arsenal would go for Brighton, and then Estupiñán, who we all expected could do a haul like this, finally did, and of course he did it to break Arsenal's chances of winning the title. In regards to Isak, I feel absolutely robbed. We know that Isak is on penalties. Wilson big balled him, as the striker in form, and that's why I guess he was the one who's like, I got to take the penalties, even though next season we don't even know for sure that Wilson will even be a Newcastle player, because once Champions League rolls out, you have to be the best of the best, and if they can afford buying a striker who'd like to come in, I could see Wilson being the one who goes, not Isak. No chance, because he's the marquee signing and all this type of stuff. So a bit annoyed, because we know that Isak would have had a brace. Isak brilliantly got the penalty for the
Both
first
of them,
goal,
really.
and second one, he's the one who caused the handball in some sense by jumping up for the header, which he probably could have gone on target or even scored. So I'm not too fussed in the sense of like, yes, we missed out on 2 goals, but at the same time, I do have Wilson, so I can't. It's a little bit less of a blow. Should I have Captain Wilson? Yes, considering the fact of his form and etc. But my reasoning was, well, if it goes to pens, it'll go to Isak, and Isak should have had both pens. So it's I feel completely justified in captaining Isak.
Especially the second pen as well. Wilson was about to be subbed off. So
Yeah,
if that had
100%.
happened, Isak would have had the second goal. And even with Wilson taking the first pen, Isak would have had the bonus points as well. So
Yeah.
it would have been a different story. But at least you have both players. That's better than me who couldn't afford Wilson. So yeah, congrats with that. But we're going to move on to the next guy on our podcast. That is Kimo. He is still reeling from the celebrations yesterday, the 17th of May. He came back at 6 a.m., I think, after a heavy night of drinking. So he's super hungover, still in bed probably at the time of recording, and yeah, bad for him getting a hangover because I didn't get a hangover for some magical reason. I wonder why. Must
because you don't drink alcohol.
I had a heavy glass of milk yesterday. I should tell you. So the fact that I'm not hungover is pretty significant. But moving on to Kimo's team, we were talking about Kimo, obviously, who's still in bed. So good luck to Kimo getting back in shape. But yeah, he's also had a pretty good game week, and he also had some injury luck in terms of, or not injury luck, but some benching luck with Lindelof coming in for Dalot, getting the 7 points. So him as well, he's taking advantage of subs doing well for him, and also Kimo did a sneaky move of captaining Wilson. We both thought he was going to captain Isak, like both of us, but he went for Wilson, and so far he's been paid off handsomely with 24 points for Wilson compared to the 10 points Isak has as captain. So pretty good game week for Kimo as well. He did 2 transfers, Alvarez to Wilson and March to McAllister. He did a -4 to do that. So the McAllister move remains to be seen what happens with him. I think he's kind of not the same player lately because Enciso is playing as like the number 10 and McAllister has to play further back because they don't have a right back currently. So yeah, apart from that transfer, I feel like it's pretty much a maximization of what he could do that game week because there was no feasible way of Kimo getting Estepinian either because he has Steele instead. So that's the only thing with Kimo's score. If he had Estepinian rather than Steele, it would have been a massive haul for Kimo, and he would have been ahead of me. He's like 2 points or something behind me now, and I'm kind of worried, or not worried, because I think he's going to end up ahead of me either way because he has triple captain left. But anyways, do you think Kimo kind of missed a trick though with not triple captaining Wilson or Isak for that matter?
I mean, you do have next week as well with City, and if I don't think they're gonna ease up anything just yet. Next week is the defining week of them winning the Premier League, so a triple captain on Haaland isn't the worst shout. But I personally believe that, yeah, if you're going to be captaining Wilson and it's pretty decent matches that they had, I mean, Leeds, a stupid game for them to lose, and then, or draw, rather. Losing 2 points was just completely out of the question. Because I'm an Evertonian and I need Leeds to lose every single point possible, but also in terms of their Champions League dreams and ambitions, you have to be winning these sort of matches. So yeah, I think a triple captain with Wilson is a mistrick, but I don't think he doesn't have options next week, considering the fact that if Rashford is fit, that's another person he can consider triple captaining. If Haaland's fine and there's no injuries there or anything that's nothing that'll keep Haaland out of the picture, then yeah, that's an easy automatic triple captain that we all wish we could do, sort of thing. So yeah, you know what? Yeah. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I mean, we say we wish we could do it, but we already did it on Rashford for like 60 points or 75 points, something like that. Yeah. So yeah, we're pretty happy with our triple captaincy this season. But that was the case last season as well, when we both captained Salah in like a huge double game week, and he got a really good score. Kimo was sitting pretty with triple captaincy still. He didn't use it for that time, and he saved it for De Bruyne, who scored 4 goals against Wolverhampton. So he ended up outscoring us with the triple captaincy chip. Yeah. Even though we got a good score. So that might happen again. So we'll see about that. But other thing with Wilson, it's also kind of hindsight because he got 2 penalties. Like we said, he didn't really do much apart from the penalties. So he's kind of lucky to get the points that he got. So, but that was to the benefit of our manager of the week, who triple captained Wilson. He actually did that. He transferred in Wilson. He did 3 transfers. And before we get into that, there's one big thing from this team that I wonder if you can spot straight away.
Why would you place Gakpo over Eze, man? Oh my God! Why?
And it's not just Gakpo.
Why?
It's not just Gakpo over Eze.
Why the hell does he have? What's he doing?
We're complaining. He has 107 points, and we're complaining. But you haven't even mentioned, because you mentioned Gakpo, you mentioned Ødegaard, but the other thing is he did a -4 to sell March to get Mitoma, so he could start Mitoma over Eze. That's the other thing as well. Like, I mean, I guess Mitoma has a double game week, so sure, you could always do that transfer to bring him in. But for me, there's so many ways he could have fit in Eze. And obviously, as well, once again, hindsight, Eze got 2 goals, so we couldn't expect 2 goals. But still, he's in the form of his life, so it's just a huge missed opportunity, and especially having Eze third bench, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, still 107 points. Most of that is because he has used the triple captaincy chip. He's saved all of his chips towards the end of the season. He still has bench boost and free hit left as well. So we're going to get into that at the end of this podcast. We're going to get into his future plans and try to help him not make the mistakes that he did this week with benching Eze for next game week. But still, huge score for him is Stepinian, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Salah, triple captain Wilson, and Ciso as well. I kind of like the Ciso shout that he has had in Ciso the last few game weeks. I think that's pretty good. Like, I checked the stats for the Brighton players. So I checked like the 3 Brighton midfielders, because at some point like people were saying like maybe you should have all 3 Brighton midfielders. But for the last, I think it's 4 matches, the stats, or the last 6 matches. I think it's the last 4 matches. If you had 3 Brighton defenders, that would be better than the 3 Brighton midfielders. If you had 3 Brighton strikers, that would be better than the 3 Brighton midfielders. Because even Undav and Welbeck have been scoring a lot of goals lately as well. Yeah. So we'll talk more about that in the fixture ticker, because it's pretty interesting to see the Brighton stats. But yeah, the big thing is Eze, like you said. But other than Eze, if you just imagine that he played Eze over Gakpo, what else do you think about his team? He has, just one more thing as well. He has also the same luck that you had. He also had Kepa starting, and he's going to get Raya in. That's why he's the manager of the week, because we have another manager in our league who has 103 points, but Raya took him over the top. So
yeah, I mean, generally speaking, he's going to have a pretty big headache now with Kepa not starting anymore and all this type of stuff. I think, I mean, the fact that he took out De Bruyne as well, I'm not the hugest fan of, because De Bruyne was great yesterday against Real Madrid, and also it's going to be a big headache when they have a double must-win games. Like, I think KDB will play both, especially if especially with that Chelsea game, if something were to go awry. Other than that, Wilson was a smart move in. Mitoma was a smart move in. I think Mitoma's been really unlucky not to get more points, especially against Everton. He was terrorizing us, and yet we still won 5-1. I'm never going to not mention that win. And I think Ødegaard could have been someone else. I just realized he has 0 Man United players, which is
it's kind of strange, because he's listed as a Man United fan as well, which is super strange.
Maybe he has to look into getting rid of Gakpo and all this type of stuff, because Gakpo to Rashford, if Rashford's fit, is a perfectly easy move, right?
Yeah, we'll get to his plans pretty soon. But I'm just wondering who you brought in, because he sold De Bruyne to get money for Wilson, I think, because Wilson is like 2 million more than Solanke. So I think that's the only way he could get Wilson. And clearly he had like a thought in his mind, like, I'm going to triple captain Wilson and go with a differential triple captain, which is really fun. Like, I wish I could do that personally as well. Obviously, happy with the Rashford score, but I'm always looking to see if there's some like super triple captaincy chip, because I want to maximize that chip every time. So he clearly had that thought in his mind, and that's why he did the Bruno to Ødegaard move. But I think he has like 3 million in the bank still, so he could have bought someone more expensive than Ødegaard as well. So I think he couldn't have gone with Salah or De Bruyne, obviously, but other than that, I think he could bring in pretty much every other midfielder. So who would you have brought in rather than Ødegaard, you think, now, especially with hindsight? But
I mean,
for the next 2 game weeks especially.
Bruno's an easy one. Grealish is another one who was fantastic against Real Madrid as well. Mahrez, there's so many City and United options that he could have picked. I think those are the guys that he should be really focusing on. I have no idea how he has 0 Man United players as a Man United fan. If it's like I don't want to jinx his team and all this type of stuff, fair enough, but I think that has to be the priority. I understand why he had Salah and Gakpo, because they have an easy run to end the season, and could see themselves sneak a Champions League spot if everything goes their way in terms of results and stuff. So I get it. Liverpool are on the up, and
Yep.
it makes sense. But if you want to maximize double game weeks and all this type of stuff, you have to look into getting in some Manchester United players. Personally, even myself, I'm considering what do I need to do to get Shaw in? What do I need to do to get De Gea in? And we'll get to that in a sec. But that's a real dilemma for me. So I hope it's the same for him if they want to continue just rising up the ranks.
Yeah, we're gonna take a look at his plans at the end of the podcast. But he has bench boost and free hit, so maybe he does the free hits to bring in the triple Man United. We can look at that later on, but. Let's move on to some other things we need to prepare for the future, and that is the fixture ticker. And we've talked a lot about Man United, and that's because they are at top of the fixture ticker with a double game week in 37 against two really easy opponents, Bournemouth and Chelsea. They conceded goals for fun lately, and then Fulham at home in game week 38 as well. So they couldn't really ask for much better fixtures to end the season. And looking at their stats as well, 12.557 and in expected goals the last 6 matches, and then 7.7 expected goals conceded, which is decent as well. The last 6 matches. It seems like that's the prime candidate for players to bring in this game week, and you said so yourself. So yeah, is that your priority, getting Man United players? I mean, you just mentioned it, but is that like the main players you're looking at when you look at this fixture ticker, or are there any other teams that you think are interesting as well?
You know me, I've always I've been since we started this podcast, I've always been one of Eze's I'm like, this is going to be the season he breaks out, and then it happened to be so, and I've never had him, which is very much pissed me off. So I think Eze is one of the players I'm definitely looking at. It's really cool to see that Roy Hodgson came during a weird spot and now has already been offered a year extension, which I don't know if he's signed or not, but it's just very indicative of how good of a manager he is, and that the longevity does matter and all this type of stuff. So it's really cool to be a part of that, and especially the Nottingham Forest at home game. Yeah, please, give me that. Give me some Eze. So Eze is definitely someone I'm looking at. I already have 3 Brighton players. Now it's just a question of whether I bring in an Arsenal asset, but Arsenal, Saka, my favorite asset, has been terrible for the last what feels like 3 months.
Yeah.
Martinelli got injured.
Yeah, he's out now for the last 2 games. So Trossard might be an option, actually. He might be.
Trossard is a fun option because that he's good enough to be starting for them as well. So Trossard might be a nice cut rate option. So that's maybe someone that I'll look into. Obviously, Fernandes has been strong to end the season as of late. I think Luke Shaw is really good. I think Lindelof is really good if he keeps playing. De Gea has won the Golden Glove, and he's obviously not going to not play because they have to win their games to win the Champions League, or get to the Champions League, rather, and win the Champions League. My God.
I mean, they have to get in the Champions League to win the Champions League next season, but
that's true.
Good luck.
That's very true. But in the form list, I guess it'd be Man United. Maybe looking into thinking about getting Firmino for our final game. Maybe he starts against Aston Villa, but I don't think so. He doesn't look like he was ready to play yet. So if I do want to get Firmino in as a fun little differential. Other than that, Brighton or everyone's already tripled up on them. West Ham, if a Bowen, Antonio, a little fun little players. I'd say if Calvert-Lewin was fit, go for him, but he seems to just be in and out of the team in terms of fitness.
Yep.
Everyone's gonna triple up on City, I assume. I just wouldn't recommend their defense because they keep conceding random stupid goals because they just switch off towards the end of the game. Also, Sterling has something to prove, so I reckon he'll play one of his best games against City. Other than that, I think everyone knows avoid every other team pretty much on the bottom half of the table. I mean, yeah, Chelsea have 3 games, but all of them suck. Harry Kane isn't the worst option. If anyone has the funds or already has him, I'd say stick with him because it's impressive. If you look at his stats for the year, it's really like he would be player of the year if it wasn't for Haaland.
Yeah, most likely, yeah. But I think Haaland is running away with it. I saw some video
Yeah,
today
of
that
course.
they said Stones should win it, but I think Haaland pretty much has it in the bag. So yeah.
How can a guy who just came to the Premier League, who broke the goal scoring record for most goals in a single season, lose it to John Stones?
Yeah. Apologies, by the way, if the webcams were affected by me going into like a different website and stuff. But I just, because you mentioned Eze and how you like him, but I just looked at that stat again for expected goals, 6.2 in the last 6 matches. I was just like, I have to double check this if that is correct or not. Because 6.2, does that leave you kind of?
I don't care about expected goals.
Yeah, you don't care.
I'm one of those XG like it like we see that stuff completely wish-wash during that, like Everton against Brighton. Come on, we saw Everton score 5 goals away at the Amex. Like, nah, man. Like, yes, it gives you sort of an indication of what things are meant to happen and etc. But I don't live and die by XG in that regards. You have to look a little bit on form, and as he has been good, yes, he has been sort of on and off, but with such good games to end the season, he's definitely a good player to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think expected goal numbers are interesting, especially doing this every week and looking at the numbers and how they've changed and stuff. It kind of correlates with the form that I see as well from the teams. But I think as like some players like Son in previous seasons as well have just been like XG outperformers. Like they just score from every single angle, and that's what Eze has proven. Like he can score from anywhere, and yeah, he can get goals from very little XG. So I think he's one of those players, and especially also the fixtures that they have as well. Fulham away and Nottingham Forest at home. You expect them to score quite a lot of goals in those 2 matches, even though they haven't had the best expected goal numbers. But they've also been scoring for fun with Hodgson, even with the last 6 matches not being the best in terms of expected goals. But yeah, I still think Eze is a great option as well. Personally, for me, I think it's interesting. Brighton as well. We just mentioned that the midfielders haven't really produced that much, Mitoma, March, and McAllister, but they still have the best XG, like 15.91, and they've scored a lot of goals as well, 6-0 against Wolves. But it's just Undav, Welbeck, and Ciso, Buonanotte all of a sudden gets goals and stuff. So it's just hard to predict with Brighton. So that's why I say just stick with the three you have, and if you have March, then maybe look to sell him and bring in someone like Enciso. But other than that, I think Brighton, you should just stick with what you have already. McAllister, Mitoma could score any given game week. Like you said, Mitoma has been unlucky lately not to score more, and McAllister is on penalties, and that could always affect how many points he gets, like Wilson this week. And we'll also get to see what they do against Newcastle today. They might. That's going to be a really telling game as well, I think, because Newcastle have a lot to play for, but Brighton are no pushover except when it comes to Everton. So. Yeah. But yeah, speaking of Everton as well, like they have pretty good fixtures. Wolves away and Bournemouth at home, and I think you're going to like one of my picks for the week wildcard draft, but we'll get to that pretty soon. But what do you feel about Everton's chances to just survive at all? Because they have everything to play for, obviously, and they don't have the worst numbers in terms of expected goals. If say goals conceded, not the best, but they play 2 of the worst teams in the league as well, especially offensively for Wolves. But what do you think about Everton? Is that potential McNeil, potential Yeremina?
Yeah, I everything Everton has shown me these last couple of weeks has been very impressive. I think they got unlucky to meet City when they did, because I always expected us to lose that game. And for us to lose that game, it required Gundogan to do like one of the nicest, sort of touches and shots, and Haaland, breaking the record and continuing to break the record. Like we met City at the wrong time.
Yeah.
But I was very impressed with how much fight we showed. And considering the fact that Wolves are pretty much safe at this point, right?
Yeah, they are. I think they are mathematically safe as well.
Yeah, so I think like Wolves are sort of coasting, and I think Bournemouth I hate playing Bournemouth because it always ends up being like 5-5 and like
Yeah,
3-1 to Everton or 3-1 to Bournemouth. I fucking hate them. Okay, I'm just
yeah,
gonna put it out there and curse. But the fight we've shown as of late, I don't feel too worried. What I'm more scared about is how everyone else will handle the pressure. Leicester, um, if they somehow manage to do something against Newcastle, that will scare the living shit out of me because West Ham aren't safe, but they're safe at the same time. So I don't know
yeah. We're pretty
how
safe.
long. I don't understand how long they're going to keep up this. We're going to just rotate and keep everyone fresh for the final and all this type of stuff. So for me, it is also about how the rest do. If Nottingham Forest decide to lose all their games, that would be great.
Yeah, I mean, you can see they're at the bottom of this table. They have
Yeah,
Arsenal at home and Palace away, which is really tough for them.
yeah,
So yeah, and also looking at their expected goals conceded numbers, 14.7. Like that's definitely a team
yeah,
to target as well. So that's why
yeah,
I kind of like Arsenal. I kind of like the Trossard pick as well because he's now
yeah,
probably nailed to start as well because he hasn't gotten the chance that much. Because with guys like Jesus, you don't know if Arteta now wants to give some time to the players that haven't played. So maybe Fabio Vieira plays over Odegaard. Maybe Reece Nelson gets the chance over Saka. Maybe Nketiah plays rather than Jesus. But with Trossard, he hasn't really been given the chance, and now Martinelli is out. So I think he's like kind of like in a way the most nailed option for Arsenal. And I also think Arsenal. I think personally that they'll play Odegaard and Saka still because I think they want to finish
yeah.
on a high because they're pretty downtrodden right now, losing the league now for sure. Pretty
Hmm.
much 100% or like 90% certain that they won't win the league now. I think they want to finish the season on a high because it's been a great season for them. They should be really excited about the future. They have the youngest team in the league, and they have so many good players. So I think they want to finish the season on a high and just have, especially that final game against Wolverhampton. I think that could be another like 6-0 type of game. So
Yeah,
definitely look into Arsenal players, even though they don't have double game week. So maybe I'll wait for game week 38 to bring them in. But I think that is for certain a team to target because their team is really
yeah,
good.
100%.
And I wouldn't say like I think the discourse around them is pretty harsh. Like they're bottling it and stuff. It's just like they have a more inexperienced team. Like sure they got some bad results lately, but beating Man City in the league is an incredibly tough task. You can just ask Liverpool. You can ask Real Madrid fans. All the people that you you don't like that much because you don't like those teams, but
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they deserve all the unhappiness they've gone recently. So yeah,
yeah. But
I'm just kidding.
we both kind of have a
I'm only
soft spot for Arsenal as well. So
Yeah,
I think that would be a fun team to target as well. But I think currently it's more about the double game week players, Man United in particular, Brighton
yeah,
as well, Man City. I think those are the
mm,
teams to target for this game week. So
sure.
with that in mind, we also have some other things we got to figure out, and that is speaking of the double game week teams and Liverpool as well, who have good fixtures. We have another make the case this week because
Yeah,
I think like we've been discussing like future transfers, all of us, and we got into kind of a discussion, me, you, and Kimo as well. Like who do we want to get? Like we all have this conundrum. Like do we go with Fernandes? Do we bring in Fernandes? Do we keep De Bruyne? Like both of us have the De Bruyne, and we've been pretty disappointed with his FPL returns lately.
yeah,
Salah's been amazing lately in FPL, but he doesn't have a double game week. And then we have Fernandes, who's been sort of underwhelming in FPL as well, but he has had good underlying stats. He's been looking good as well on the eye test, and he has the best fixtures. So we're gonna do a make the case for our players. Pretty much, I just wanted to make a case for Fernandes, and Kimo was talking about bringing in De Bruyne this week. So for Salah, so that's why I gave him just De Bruyne, and you just got Salah as default. So maybe you prefer someone else than Salah, but you're gonna have to make a case for Salah as well.
sure.
But first, I'm gonna just make the case for Bruno Fernandes, and like I said, he has the easiest fixtures: Bournemouth away, Chelsea at home, Fulham at home. Couldn't really ask for much better fixtures. And if you look at his stats compared to someone like De Bruyne, across the board, it's better. Better XGI, better big chances, better shots in the box, and better in chances created. So in my eyes, he's a much better option than De Bruyne, who might be rotated still. Because if they beat Chelsea, they have won the league already, so he doesn't have to play against Brighton potentially. So So for me, I'm looking to bring in Fernandes for De Bruyne. That's personally what I'm looking at doing in my own team. So I think Fernandes is great, and also compared to Salah, I think the double game week also slightly edges it. As you'll see with the weekly wildcard draft, I'm pretty indecisive about who I prefer of Fernandes or Salah. But I think Fernandes, like it's listed in the pros and cons, he has the best fixtures, he's the cheapest, and he has like pretty good stats. Like it's nothing compared to Salah, obviously, because Salah is a stats monster. But I think Fernandes is a fantastic option, and yeah, we're not going to captain either of these three guys anyway, because we're going to captain Haaland. So I think Fernandes is the best, most consistent option out of all three of them in terms of price, in terms of double gaming fixtures and all that stuff. So, but maybe you think differently. Maybe you think Salah is a better option, or at least better than De Bruyne. So what do you think about Salah going forward with only 2 single game weeks left, but pretty easy matches as well? Aston Villa, who they beat away from home, and then Southampton.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Salah since screw it, if you look at Salah since game week 23, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go to game week 23, you got 11 points against us, 6 against Newcastle, then blanked once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. He's only blanked 4 times since what was the game week I said?
23.
Game week 23.
Yeah.
4 times since 23.
Yeah.
Just because he had that one World Cup, like around the World Cup, where things were looking crap and he was just not scoring and stuff like that. I mean, the guy's on 19 goals and 11 assists, and people are saying this is one of his worst seasons he's ever had and
crazy.
stuff like that. It's crazy just because everyone's trying to compare it to previous seasons and stuff like that. This is still a more than adequate season for him. This is a great season because if he hits the 20 goal score mark, really good. I think I'm riding Salah all the way. I'm not going to change him for double game week players personally because he's just been really good. I mean, he's clearly wants, like Kima mentioned in the past, he's clearly trying to get that 20 mark, and he should have gone it actually against Leicester when he got 3 assists and had the 1-1 and missed. And yeah, I think for me personally, if there's anyone you could see yourself like, oh, who should I captain? Who's a single game week player out of all of these guys and stuff like that? That there is, I think he has one of the strongest potentials for captaincy. This is a guy who has a single game week, but he's just been that good. So personally, if you have Salah, keep him, and if you are considering bringing him in, yeah, do it. I think he should take some priority because not only is that the easy game, it's Southampton next.
Yeah. And also Liverpool are just on fire. Like they've been amazing lately. They need to do everything they can to get into the top 4 and potentially get that Champions League spot. So
and it wouldn't surprise me if Klopp lucked out like he did that stupid, oh, it's West Brom, oh, Allison, oh, header, goal. Fuck off. This is such bullshit Liverpool luck every time.
Yeah. But Salah still, he's a legend. He's FPL royalty.
Of course.
The best FPL player of all time. One of the best Premier League players of all time.
Yeah.
He's just amazing. So what do you think then of Chemo's plans of potentially selling Salah to get De Bruyne? Like,
please do it because if it backfires, I still have KDB, who I'm not considering selling at this point. So
we'll see about that.
But I doubt it. I'm gonna have both, and both are gonna do great. So
yeah, okay. So then you can make a case for KDB over Fernandes then, because I'm looking at selling De Bruyne for Fernandes. Chemo's looking at selling Salah for De Bruyne. So
I might end. I think it will be very likely that I might end up with all 3. To be honest,
okay.
Yeah, because, but it's just a question of whether I sell Rashford, which is a bit of a sideways move in my opinion. But yeah, I think in terms of KDB versus Fernandes, like I understand the frustration with KDB because I've had KDB for 2-3 weeks and he's done fucking nothing, and he got 1 bonus point in 1 random game because Haaland decided to be a piece of shit and miss everything. So I think yes, there's some irony in the fact that we were chasing the Arsenal haul a little bit by getting KDB in, but also because they had the good games. And of course, Pep is like Pep. He wants to rest him and make sure he's fresh for the City, Real Madrid game. And of course, KDB scored in the first leg and then got an assist in the second and was a total boss the entire time. So it is frustrating, but now because it's crunch time for the Premier League to win the league, KDB will play both games. I'm almost certain of it. The only way I don't see it happening is if like they completely dominate.
I mean, if they beat Chelsea, they've won the league already.
They've won the league, right? But I think you still need to keep him fresh. Like you can't just like closer to the final. Yes, I get if they end up benching him like 1 or 2 games. But nah, man. They're gonna play. I think they're gonna play him in the Chelsea and Brighton game and maybe rest him against Brentford because that Brentford game will have nothing to it.
But that's what we're also making a case for. It's not just this game week; it's the 2 final game weeks. So that's also why I feel like Fernandes.
I mean, I guess, but for now, if you're gonna focus on why do you even have KDB? It's for the double game week, personally.
Yeah, but if he plays both matches, that's what I'm unsure about because they don't only have the Champions League final to worry about. They have the FA Cup final to worry about as well.
True, yeah.
So they have so many important matches to end the season. So I think he's going to start against Chelsea, and he might get a huge haul against Chelsea. But once they win the league there, I can see him being rested against both Brighton and Brentford, to be honest. So I'm not 100% sure about KDB going forward, and I'm pretty high on Fernandes, so that's why I feel like I need to do that switch. Also to get some money, because I need to upgrade other parts of my team. I kind of want to get Trent also in as a defender, and the money I get from De Bruyne to Fernandes gives me enough to get Trent. So that's sort of my thinking personally. But yeah, I'm worried about this season, and everything I do is like the opposite happens. So considering I'm going to sell De Bruyne, it's probably a good choice to keep him or potentially even bring him in. But yeah, I'm just tired of having City players this season. It's been nothing but misery for me, apart from Haaland, but everyone has Haaland at this point. But I'm going to take a closer look, actually. I'm going to look up the numbers before the next, the final podcast, or the final preparation podcast at least, and just look at the City numbers in terms of what points I've gotten from having Cancelo, Bernardo, Foden, De Bruyne, just at the complete wrong time every single time. Stones as well now. He's been benched the last 2 games. I've had him. Yeah, it's just the City headache. It's just not worth it for me. So that's why I feel like I'm going to get Fernandes, who I feel like have been unlucky lately and has better stats than De Bruyne as well. And like I said, De Bruyne, he was amazing against Real Madrid yesterday, but he only got 1 assist still in a 4-0 win. So you never know with De Bruyne as well. It looks like Gundogan is more the goal scorer, the points getter now, but yeah,
true.
So that's sort of my case against De Bruyne and why I feel like I'm going to do De Bruyne to Fernandes. But I think it's also more than reasonable, especially if you already have Trent and you don't have any pressing issues in terms of money. You can just keep De Bruyne and hope that he outscores Fernandes this game week, which he very well could do. So yeah, I think there is a decent case to keep De Bruyne, but personally, I'm just sick and tired of City players in general in FPL. But yeah, moving on to the weekly wildcard drafts, which I do every week. It's reflected here as well. I only have 2 City players, even though I could have 3 with the double game weeks, but it's just I don't trust any one of them. So I guess that's going to be your one drawback with this team. Like you'd want to fit a Man City player in here, but if you could choose 3 City players currently, which 3 would you choose then?
Haaland, Stones. Probably. Toss up between Grealish and Gundogan, because I'm confused to what Gundogan's role is, because he seems to be playing more in the Prem than the Champs. So
you played both matches in Champions League, though, didn't he?
I think he eventually did. He come on in this game? I can't remember.
I think he started both.
Okay,
I think they were unchanged.
In that case, Gundogan maybe over KDB. Simply because there's more likelihood that he plays all 3 than
But is it though?
KDB.
Because he's the one starting 11 player that hasn't been rested so far. So that's why I didn't include him in this team, because I feel like he's going to be rested now.
I have no idea. Pep is a fucking enigma. He's the Riddler. He's every Batman villain into one. So yeah.
So you can understand why I don't have 3 City players.
Yeah, of course. I get it. I think yeah, fuck it. Just this whole that's fine. Maybe Julian. But yeah, I think you missed a trick with one player, which is Julian Alvarez. I think he might be someone to finish the season strong. I think Riyad Mahrez is one of the players that could potentially be like the league king and finish it. So that's maybe the only thing I can give you a little bit of stick about.
Yeah, I mean, personally, those are the 2 players that I considered as well. But it's just Alvarez has been getting 90 minutes or close to it, and in Premier League the last like 3-4 game weeks, and he hasn't really returned that much in terms of failed points. So yeah, also with him, like I don't know if he's going to start either. Like it's just, who knows who's going to start, and especially with a double game week, I feel like he's going to switch up the teams completely from game week or from match to match. Mahrez is probably the one that I'm looking at. He's been good with the assists lately to Gundogan, but he's dropped out of the team as well. I had him last week, as you can see there on the list. He was 10th last week, but it's just, I'm just unsure about City players. I have Stones and KDB personally. I'm selling the KDB, like I said, so I'm going to keep Stones, but who knows really. But Haaland, he's obviously number 1 still. I think he could also be rested potentially, but he hasn't really been rested this whole season, which is kind of strange. Because we all considered before the season, we thought like, oh, he's going to be really good, but he's going to need some rest because he's had injury issues in the past. But he's been pretty healthy, apart from a little period when Norway needed him. He was out injured. But yeah, other than that though, I have some of your favorites in the team. I have SA, like you mentioned, and I also have Jeremina. So what do you think about those new guys coming in? I have Shaw as well. Like he jumped all the way up to the top of the list because he played left back and was amazing last game week. So yeah, what do you think about all the guys in green, the new guys in the squad? Do you agree with all of them, or are there anyone you kind of are uneasy about?
No, I think all of them are decent shouts. Yeah, I can't really say much. I think Jeremina, whenever he plays, we look so much better. So it's been a real shame that it's had struggled. Everton in general have struggled with injuries this entire season. I mean, Calvert-Lewin has been sort of like a Michael Owen at Stoke City, pay as you play sort of situation. So it's fun to see an Everton asset randomly in there. Kiwior, I think, is really good. A lot of Arsenal fans aren't very sure about him, like saying, oh, he looks a bit shaky, and all this type of stuff. But that's a direct dig at Ali, who said that, and who's a massive Arsenal fan. But he's a super talent. I've really liked what I've seen of him. I thought he was really good against Chelsea. I guess everyone's good against Chelsea. But he's a good pick, especially with all the injuries that they have. Fernandes, I'm definitely interested in Fernandes. It's just a question of how I get him in. And I think this is a good weekly wildcard sort of team, especially if people want a free hit and still have free hit. This is an interesting team. It's just a question of whether you look at Julian Alvarez to finish the season or Riyad Mahrez, who you took out, or even looking at Big Phil. I mean, Phil Foden, I don't know what's going on there, because I think he'll definitely start to play more games, and considering he got an assist with like 5 minutes of play yesterday, and it was a really good assist as well. I think that's also another player to maybe keep an eye out. But in terms of a draft, really good. Ederson got his first clean sheet. Of course, it had to be against us when we had so many chances and should have scored. But I think Ederson's a good shot as well. Maybe what can I see here? No, I think this is good. Generally speaking,
yeah. It's just a matter of the third. I know there's going to be one City option that's going to be amazing the last 2 game weeks. Like we've seen now with Gundogan as well. Like if you choose the correct City players, you probably have a really high rank, and that's why that's one of the reasons why I'm so far down, because I just never seem to get the right City player. So I've sort of just given up. Bernardo Silva all of a sudden scores 2 goals against Real Madrid as well. He didn't do that when I had him at the start of the season. I can tell you that. But
of course,
But yeah, it's just so hard to predict with City, so that's why I'm kind of gone against it. But let's go to your plans. And you said you're not going to sell KDB, but that's sort of like the perspective move that I've given you. That's because that's sort of what I thought as well. But you said you wanted to get Fernandes and De Gea, and this is the way I could see you getting them, because you have 0.0 in the bank. So even if you want to sell Rashford, if Rashford is out, you need to make up like the 2 million. That's the difference between him and Fernandes. So how would you go about getting that 2 million in? Would you sell Wilson again, or what would you do? Yeah?
Fuck Wilson. Stealing all my penalties from my main brethren and Swedish international striker. He's like, fuck him. Get out of my team.
So would you do, your bench is already kind of weak, especially considering Brentford.
Yeah, but who gives a shit about my bench at this point? It's back to the old ways of doing shit. Have a weak bench. Shut up, okay? I don't care that I got 13 points from my bench. Okay, shut up. Shut up. Okay, I don't need this.
So you're just gonna get someone like Greenwood or something, like the cheapest possible striker for Wilson? Is that potentially your move? And even like, let's say Rashford is fit, which is looking likely now because he's in training. What then? Would you still sell Wilson? Would you bring in someone else? Would you sit on your transfer and save it for game week 38? Like, would you change your goalkeepers because they are not the best? Like, you can't do Raya to De Gea either because you don't have the money to do that. You mentioned Shaw as well, someone you potentially get in. Trippier to Shaw maybe. I don't know.
Why are you being so annoying right now?
Just
telling me all these headaches and dilemmas. Well, stop asking me questions, okay? This is not an interview. Shut up.
We're trying to plan. We're trying to give people an indication of what they should do.
I'm only kidding. Personally, I want to consider... I'm getting sort of tired of McAllister as well. Like, yes, he went ham against United, and it was a lucky penalty to get there towards the end. But I don't know, man. Brighton have sort of been disappointing in the midfield has been disappointing because it looks like Dennis Lindov and Welbeck and Enciso are much better options than the two who destroyed teams and did me so many points and all this type of stuff in the past. But even if I were to get rid of them, they're like in the 5-point-something millions. They wouldn't really save me anything. So Wilson is someone I'd consider. De Bruyne to Fernandes is potentially something. If I hear Rashford's out, I'm bringing Gundogan straight away. Like, I'll just go another -4 to bring him in. The suggested moves, the potential moves are really good. I just need to... Something tells me that De Bruyne's going to haul, and it's going to piss me off massively if I don't have it when he does. I do think Fernandes generally speaking, for players or FPL players, is a good move because he's been really unlucky not to get more points. He is clearly still on penalties from the looks of it. He's taking set pieces. He's due a haul. Martial's, back to scoring goals. Anthony's looking good. Jadon Sancho's looking good. So a lot of these players that he can supply the balls to are now hitting the goals as well. So Fernandes in seems like a must, but it's just a question of whether I say goodbye to one of the Newcastle boys. But the annoying thing about the Newcastle boys is they're playing Leicester, who are crap at home. True. So maybe the biggest indicator of what I'll do is dependent on this match. I'm kind of praying Wilson gets... That sounds like a really mean thing to say. You know what? Let me retrace my steps.
Cheeky little hamstring injury.
Wait, relax. Whoa. No one's
he's used to it. He's been there before, so...
Yeah. I'm hoping Wilson takes his shirt off after scoring and gets a suspension. There you go.
Fair enough.
No, but depending on what... If Wilson fails the eye test, if he does a similar stinker of a game where he's penalty dependent, actually, that's the best way to put it. If he's penalty dependent again this next match, he's out of the team.
Fair enough.
Or is Trippier out of the team? My God, we're just wasting time and money in my team. That's
why I said Trippier to Shaw. That's one of my other moves.
That could very much be how I do it instead of taking rid of. I don't want Kep. Like, Kepa's pissing me off too.
And Raya against Spurs, you never know. Could get points there.
No.
No? Hurricane's going to score?
No. Yeah. Hurricane or Lucas Moore is going to do a backwards pass to Embuemo. But no, I think...
Embuemo as well. That's another option for Wilson if you downgrade Wilson.
I think the most sensible thing is doing the suggested moves, to be honest.
Okay.
It's just that it's pissing me off that De Bruyne has been in my team for so long. Because also, I kind of want to get Gundogan in. But can I get Gundogan in if I get rid of like a McAllister maybe? Then that might be something I'll look into.
No money in the bank, so no can do.
You are... This is... What? How is De Bruyne to Fernandes and Arrizabalaga to De Gea and McAllister to...
Yeah, if you do that...
should be enough.
If you do a -8, then yeah.
I will do a -55 if I have to. I need to have double City players at the very least.
Would you sell McAllister with a double game week, Southampton at home in the first match for Gundogan, who might not even play both matches?
Shut up, okay? there's just too much to consider here.
Yeah, so you have no idea what you're doing, is basically what you're saying.
This entire time, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, personally, if I should give you some tips, like I have that potential move De Bruyne to Fernandes, but if you're really set on having De Bruyne, I think Trippier to Shaw is like sort of like the more like conservative move to do. Leicester, they are desperate to score. I think they're going to score, even though they play away from home.
And Trippier has done nothing lately, to be completely honest.
He's
always at fault when they score as well, because it's always between his legs. He misses the player that he's meant to be man marking. Oh, it's terrible. He's just not a good defender. It's hilarious.
Trippier has been pretty bad towards the end of the season, but I'm gonna stick with him personally just because I've had him the whole season. He's my only Gameweek 1 player that I still have. So, but yeah, I think for you, Trippier to Shaw might be the most like conservative, decent move. But I know you like to do some weird stuff right before the deadline, so I'm probably expecting that as well. But I think also Rashford is going to be fit, so I think you need to bench someone from the attack. So maybe you do downgrade Wilson so you can start Rashford and get some good player in for maybe get Trent in defense as well rather than Trippier or Shaw.
Wilson and Konate were bad moves, were they? Yeah, he's a son of a bitch.
No, they started well this week, but I think...
Shut up! No one wants to hear what I've done before, like Watkins and this guy and that guy. Fuck off. Let's go to the next thing.
Yeah, Watkins got an assist as well, so he didn't really need. So. Wilson has been good for you, so... with the penalties he stole from Isak. Let's move on to shitting on Kimo's team instead, because his perspective move is Salah to De Bruyne. And we've also mentioned this already, but he has actually 1.5 in the bank. He already has Trent Alexander-Arnold. He has a pretty good team because he wildcarded not too long ago. I've benched Grealish for him because I'm not sure he's going to start both games. I don't think he's going to start both games because he's so vital for them in the finals that they're going to play. So, and he didn't get a point return last time he played either. He looked really good against Real Madrid, to be fair, but yeah, I think he's like more safe to bench than someone like McAllister, because I think McAllister is going to play both matches and he's on penalties. Kimo said that he's going to bench Isak actually, so I think that's going to be the guy on the bench for him, but we both love Isak, so we wouldn't do that personally. But 1.5 in the bank, he could potentially get Grealish to Fernandes. I'm not 100% sure if that's enough money to do that. But yeah, any moves you think look good for him? He doesn't have a Stepinian. He has no really easy way of getting a Stepinian either, and depends if it's worth it considering he has Man City in the second game. But Shaw is also a potential option. Upgrade one of those defenders to Shaw and just easily go Dalot to Shaw, for example. If you want to.
Yeah, that's definitely a shout. If Rashford, for whatever reasons, confirmed out for both, he could just do Rashford to Fernandes, or is it
not enough
a little
money?
Bit?
Rashford is insanely cheap this season, crazily cheap.
Yeah, it's true.
I remember that before the season, I was just like, what the hell? Why is he so far down in price? I realized he had a terrible last season, but we all know Rashford has the potential to be super good. That's going to be interesting. I'm actually going to ask you about this as well, because if Lukaku comes back to Chelsea and he starts for Pochettino, like what price would he be? Like, because he's been so terrible in FPL and it's been injury prone this season as well.
A triple captain him, no hesitation, brother.
Against West Ham, I know, because he always scores against West Ham.
Oh my God, I would triple captain him so hard against West Ham.
What price should he be? Like Rashford was he 7.0 or 7.5 this season? Something like that.
You're talking to Champions League finalist Romelu Lukaku, by the way. So
exactly.
And Coppa Italia finalist Romelu Lukaku, and
I mean,
top four.
he was 11.5, I think, last season. What do you
Which
think
is
his price would be next season if he stays with Chelsea?
9.5.
Yeah,
9.5. Yeah.
you think that's a good price for him?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they sort of have to because he's proven in the past
He's
he can
he's
score goals. He has over 100 Premier League goals already. Like we know he can score in the Premier League if he gets the chance. So
Yeah, and also the fact that he takes penalties as well, and I think he would be their number one penalty taker
yeah,
at Chelsea. So yeah,
Jorginho is
I think a
out. So
9.5, 10. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be really interesting with Lukaku. There's going to be some interesting pricing things. I think we need to do like a pricing prediction, pricing like wishes sort of type of video as well at some point during the off season. All three of us probably can chime in on that. It would be actually interesting if we did like the predictions separately and just compare it, like get shocked by the other people's valuation of players. But that could be a fun video to make in the summer. But yeah, for now, for Chemo's team, he also has this is also another question for you. Triple captain Haaland, is that like a given for you? Because I think Chemo as well, with his weird ways, I think he's going to save the triple captaincy for Game Week 38, even though there's double game weeks in 37. But would you 100% go Haaland triple captain now if you still have triple captain left?
Yeah, unless you do what we did in regards to like a Rashford or Fernandez, because they are desperate to win their games to make sure they win the Champions League and stuff like that, whilst Haaland will get opportunity after opportunity to try and win the league. So even if they were to stumble somewhere, it's whatever really. So, but I think you gotta go with Haaland. He's chasing it. He's what, like 5 goals away from 40 or less? More?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. 5 goals away from 40 is not bad at all. Like he's gonna try and get 40. Like it's Haaland. Come on, man. He's the guy who scored 5 times in the Champions League this season in one single game. So yeah, he's definitely gonna try. You know, that Chelsea game is going to be so important for them because momentum for the Champions League final, momentum for the Manchester Derby and the FA Cup, like it's going to be massive for them to win that game, especially at home and all this type of stuff too. So yeah, I'd say go with Haaland. Triple captain Haaland if I was Chemo.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think the move I would do, I'd just be really boring and do the lot to Shaw, because I think Shaw, especially if he keeps playing left back, I think he's going to be a really good player to have in FPL. He was number 4th pick in my weekly wildcard drafts and the number 1 defender to get because of the fixtures that they have. So I think the lot to Shaw, because I don't think the lot will start both matches. I think he'll start one of them, but Wan-Bissaka has been the preferred right back lately, and Shaw can play left back rather than the lot. So I think that's the best move, just conservatively for Chemo. And benching, if Rashford is fit, I'm going to ask you that as well. Like, who would you bench if he has this exact team? If he does that defensive move, the lot to Shaw, and he has these same attacking players, who would you bench to get Rashford into the squad? Would you bench Grealish? Would you bench Wilson? Would you bench McAllister? Would you bench Salah?
It just becomes a question of which one of the Newcastle boys he wants to bench, because I get it. I mean, yes, it's a single game week, but Salah is proven to be more explosive than the other two. Grealish, it's just a question of whether can Grealish become good again by any chance?
For Chemo, yeah, he has 1.5 in the bank. So
yeah.
Could become Morris, could become Gundogan, could become Foden.
And if he does that, I'd say sadly it's got to be one of the Newcastle boys if you're going to do it, because double game week, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could also sell the lot and get Fernandez in for Grealish potentially. I think that's also what we could do. But then again, he'd have another benching headache again. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think sadly it's got to be one of the. It's probably gonna be Wilson, because when Isak scores a hat trick today and pisses everyone off, who didn't captain him, life is good.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of tinkering you could do with Chemo's team, but there's also a lot of tinkering you could do with the manager of the week, because Mule H, or whatever you call it, I don't know the pronunciation of his name, but he has a very interesting conundrum, because he has 3.8 in the bank, but he also has free hit and bench boost. He has to use both chips in the final 2 game weeks. Looking at his bench currently, Arrizabalaga doesn't even start for Chelsea. Mings against Liverpool, going to concede. Henry against Tottenham, probably going to concede. And then Kakpo against Aston Villa, who knows if he plays. So his bench isn't really the best, but that bench will be pretty much the same next game week as well. And especially with Raya also. Raya and Henry will play Man City next game week. So I'm not sure. I feel like it might be the... he might have to do the free hit this game week, but I don't know. Would you free hit this game week, or would you bench boost? Try to do like a -8 or something to get like a proper bench. Like, what would your moves be?
I think because this is a double game week, this is the time to do a bench boost. It's just a question of who he'd bring in. I mean, because it's 3.8, he could sprinkle it around and try and get like a City defender in or like Ederson just to play it safe. Shaw, yeah, definitely. Obviously, the Man United options of Fernandes or Rashford.
For
you're a Man United fan who doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna ask you: are the cameras affected by me going here? No, they're still there.
No.
Yeah, nothing is great. So we can actually do moves here. We can actually tinker with this.
Okay.
As we go. So captaincy should not be Wilson. That don't really have to think about that. But any obvious moves, especially if we go with the bench boost. Let's just activate the bench boost here.
Mm-hmm.
He needs a new goalkeeper. Kepa's not going to start unless Lampard just goes back on his decision because Mendy messed up for the first goal.
Mendy looked terrible in the game against Nottingham Forest, so I think that's Mendy out personally. But yeah.
So do you think De Gea or Ederson as the main goalkeeper? If you want a bench boost with that.
My issue is if De Gea's chasing to, I mean, De Gea's won the Golden Glove sort of thing, but they're chasing the Champions League spot. So I think De Gea is the more pressing goalkeeper in that regards.
Yeah. So you had De Gea, and he'd be starting, so that would be Raya on the bench.
Yes.
For the bench boosts. Mings to Shaw, I think that's like an obvious move, personally.
Easy peasy.
But he has enough to... Yeah, he has Trent already, so you don't have to think about him. So Shaw in, again, just to make sure that the bench boost is actually the bench boost and not something other than that. We also have Henry, you have 2.7 in the bank, could do like a -4 for a defender, but for me it sort of feels like a waste to do a -4 to get a defender who probably doesn't get that many points either way. Like there's no, because he already has Trent, he has Shaw, now he has Estepinian, he has the main 3 defenders. So for me,
save that.
I probably wouldn't do a -4 to switch out Henry, because Henry could also, all of a sudden he pops up with an assist, and I think they are a decent shout to get a clean sheet or something out of that game, because I feel like Brentford have been like giant, like you can't really call Spurs a giant team, but Brentford have been good against the traditional top 6 this season. They are the last team to beat City after all, so I think they can get a result there. So going with Henry and Raya, he needs to back Raya anyway, so I think I just keep Henry. But any other moves you'd look likely to do? Like Wilson could go out, I guess. He has Leicester at home, so if he starts, that's a good game, but 9.8. I don't know. Strikers, not that many options maybe, especially for -4. He just brought in Ødegaard, but would that be your player? Could you?
No, you still have Gakpo there that could be changed into Rashford.
Yeah, that's true.
Fernandes.
Gakpo's the one you can sell. Oh, that's actually enough for Fernandes. So yeah.
Done.
Does that seem like a good?
But probably
just Eze just for the aesthetics, because he benched Eze 16 points. So let's use the bench boost this time to get his points. But yeah, do you think that's a reasonable thing to do? -8 to get like this. That's a pretty good bench to be fair. Like it's Brentford against Spurs is like the sort of odd game, but Eze against Fulham and Trippier against Leicester could be points.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you think that looks good?
I think absolutely, because I think at the end of the day, it ends up. I mean, the bench boost, of course, is just a few players here and there, but the main thing was for him to get in the United players, which is what his team is lacking. So
yeah, he gets 3 United players this way.
Yeah, and
could also get Rashford rather than Fernandes if he's
fit. And then potentially making someone into like a Gundogan or Grealish or Morris if it works, but I think this works. Personally, I think this is optimal because United have to play all three players to win their games and to get to basically make sure that they get Champions League spots because Liverpool are knocking on the door. Newcastle have been a little bit hit and miss. So if you really want to cement it, you gotta just try and win your remaining games, which means that there's going to be very little rotation in terms of the vital players. Fernandes, Shaw, De Gea are going to play every game.
Yeah. So I reset his team now because I'm also going to look at Gameweek 38, see if he has any potential bench options. But again, Kepa probably not playing. Raya playing against Man City. Then he has Henry against Man City as well. Mings against Brighton, not the best. Eze is still good.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any double game week players in the starting lineup. So for me, it seems like he's better suited to doing the bench boost because I also think the free hit. I think with the changes that we did, I feel like a free hit team wouldn't be too far off from that, especially with the bench boost as well, getting all those players on top of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're both in agreement. He should do like a -8 to get like a proper bench boost this week, and then he should do a free hit and just have a lot of fun with this game.
Yeah, because free hitting in the final game week where you're going to get leaks and all this type of stuff too.
Yeah.
100% is the smarter move.
And you can get Arsenal players. You can look at the Arsenal game now and see if they actually give a chance to players in Game Week 37.
100%.
If they play still the same team, like Ødegaard and Saka, you can expect them to play those guys in the final game as well. So you can do a free hit and get like triple Arsenal when no one else has Arsenal, for example.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can target some City players if you get the leaks. Like you said, if you get the City starting lineup, you can just get Alvarez if he starts. You can get Morris if he starts. You get Foden if he starts.
Yeah, 100%.
Pretty likely to get some leaks as well, because that's usually what we get when City have the first match, which they are going to have because you're going to play at the same time as everyone else. So I think free hit for that game week, have the proper triple up on City attack, have triple Arsenal attack. He can get a lot of points in the final game week with a free hit. I'm kind of jealous that I don't have free hit.
Yeah, same.
Looking at that. So yeah, I think he's in a pretty good position if he just does the transfers that we said. So yeah. I think he is doing pretty well. He is the manager of the week, and anyone watching can also be manager of the week if you join our mini league. As you can see right above me here, 6IY V7U is what you can join on the FPL podcast, but on the FPL website. You can join that mini league and be part of this community as well, because we're going to try to grow it as much as we can. We are nearing the end of the season. I'm struggling to finish within the top million this season because it's been my worst season pretty much of all time. I haven't finished outside the top million ever, apart from the first season where I played the last 2 game weeks and ended up like 2 millionth place or something because there were far fewer people playing it back then. But I'm going to do like a lofty goal for next season, or else I'll quit FPL. That's going to be my thing next season. I have 2 options. I don't think I've told you this at the moment, but next season, I either got to finish in the top 10K, or else I retire from FPL, or the backup option is getting 10K subs in on this YouTube channel. So I'm going to set that goal personally for myself next season. If I don't get 10K subs on this YouTube channel, if I don't get 10K or better in FPL, I'm going to quit FPL next season. I need to redeem myself after this season of FPL. So what do you think about that before we end this whole thing?
That's very lofty goals. I don't doubt that you can't do it. I think this year, generally speaking, in terms of FPL, has just been a strange one where a lot more casual players who have no idea what they're doing were able to do really well because of just so many things, just template, this, and just rotation, screwing people over, and all this type of stuff too. I think it's just been a strange FPL season. Besides Holland, who's just been the auto captain pretty much the entire time. But yeah, good luck. It'll be fun to see how it all pans out next year. But I think next year is going to be a completely different season, just generally speaking, because yeah, there's so much things happening in every club. City have to do some changes here and there too. Chelsea need to sell players and all this type of stuff before they get hit by FFP. Arsenal are going to spend 200 million to beef up their squad. whether that's Declan Rice and Moise
Yeah.
Caicedo and some other players, will remains to be seen. Liverpool are going to have a big shakeup because now Firmino's leaving too. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. Salah wants to move if they only get Europa League and all this type of stuff as well. So there's going
Champions
to be so
League.
much drama. Sorry, yeah. If they end up, yeah,
If they end up
exactly.
in the
If they
Europa
miss out,
League.
yeah. And then it's just the question of whether managers change and all this type of stuff too. There's going to be so much things happening in the summer. There's no World Cup. There's no Euros to worry about, which will be a big factor in how things will shake up next year. I mean, obviously, if a City win the Champions League, they're going to the Club World Cup. How does that affect people's decisions and stuff like that too? That would be fun. There's going to be so many fun things like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think I'll be even more chuffed if Everton get to take part in that. Otherwise, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the championship more than I ever wanted to, which is never. So yeah.
That's true. But yeah, I think also with like we had the World Cup mid-season this season, we've had Corona issues pretty much since 2020. So we haven't really had like a normal FPL season since 2018-19, which is kind of crazy. That's a long time ago now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that next season. Hopefully there's no weird world issues. We never know. All of a sudden there's World War III. Sorry for that little raspberry. But anyways, but yeah, just also just gotta ask you as well. What do you think is more realistic? That I finish inside the top 10k in FPL, or that we get 10k subs in on this YouTube channel?
Considering trajectory, definitely, obviously, you're finishing in the 10K, but I wouldn't say it's impossible to do anything. So let's see what we can do.
Fair enough. I think both have a decent chance, but I think both are kind of challenges as well that I'd like to take. So yeah. In terms of the subscribers, we're going to do a lot of stuff for the summer. So I think it's going to get a big boost especially from the guide that usually gets a lot of clicks and views and stuff on my website. That it's going to link to this YouTube channel. So I think we're going to get a lot of growth from that. I have a lot of ideas as well. So I think it's going to be fun, both the FPL season and FPL content creation as well next season. And you're going to be here to take part of it. Kimo's going to be here to take part of it as well. Unless he's hungover the whole time. We'll see. So get well soon, Kimo, in terms of your hangover. Other than that, you can like this video. You can subscribe to the channel. Like I said, if you want to keep watching this stuff beyond next season as well, try to get us to 10k so we can keep doing this. But yeah, you can also follow us on Twitter. You can also follow us on Instagram. And like I said, you can join our mini league if you want to be Manager of the Week. And with that, we've gone through everything we have to talk about this podcast. So I'm going to leave the last word for Kevin once again. And I kind of have an idea what's going to happen considering what happened in last night's game. What do you have to say, Kevin?
No, it's not going to be that.
Okay.
It's actually going to be this. Everton will be playing Premier League football next season.
And with that, we say goodbye.